Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Yes, if you can come up to the mic. Mr. Fazio and Mr. Robital are here on behalf of RVB for Building Code Official Services.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I think we've allotted maybe 5 to 10 minutes. So I have a few questions that I'd like to run through.
So, Councilmember Tutino, for the consultant portion of this, our solicitors actually has specific questions for each professional, and then the questions in front of you are specific to the boards and the commissions.
Oh,
Okay?
got it.
You certainly, if you
Yeah,
have any
jump in.
questions, can and should ask them. Good evening,
Okay.
gentlemen. John, nice to see you again. It's been a while.
Yes.
My first question, and it's a standard question that I ask everyone in your situation, do you have any affiliations with any group or individual that would prohibit your continued involvement in work with the borough?
No.
John?
I can elaborate.
Sure.
Our firm was founded in 1901, and believe it or not, on day one of its foundation, the owners made the decision that they were going to be a public company, in that they only represent public entities.
Okay.
They don't represent any private developers or private entities. Because we're so heavy on the public municipal side, you really couldn't do both. Didn't make sense to the company's forefathers, and we've kept on to that tradition here in 2017. So we have no association with any private developers, therefore no conflicts of interest.
Okay, wonderful. And with respect to the projects that are going on here in the borough, I know we spent a lot of time with John this morning. It's a busy borough, as you know. There are a lot of inspections. You guys are going to have a lot of work. Do you anticipate having sufficient inspectors next year to perform the level of service that the borough needs?
We do. We have a deep department with all fully certified building inspectors and building plans examiners. So whatever needs the borough has, I'm very confident we can meet whatever needs you have on your terms and your schedule.
Council, those are my specific concerns and questions. If you have anything else to ask, again, these are our commercial inspectors. Feel free to ask them any questions they may have, or you may have.
I have one clarification just to make sure council is aware that the BCO position that was previously part of John's responsibilities will be transferred to Ray Sokolowski come January 1st. So just keep that in mind as you're making any evaluation.
Approximately how many hours a week do you work in Conshohocken, each of you?
Right now, John is here 32 hours a week, and per the proposal we had sent you months ago, that 32 hours can be 8 hours a day. We can spread it over 5 days, whatever you all need. My understanding is there may be a chance that John may be needed 40 hours a week at any given time based on workload, and we're happy to accommodate whatever you need.
Anything else?
John, can you just clarify if, with the change in terms of the department that we've reviewed, that licensing inspections is now coming into the Department of Public Services under the direction of Ray Sokolowski, can you confirm that you're comfortable with stepping in when needed for any property maintenance issues?
Yes, I am comfortable with that.
And you have the certifications to do so?
I do.
Okay.
Good answer, John.
Any more questions?
I had jumped ahead, so I do not have any questions. Thank you.
They've been here for a while.
John has done great work over the course of 2017.
Yeah.
And we have listened to some of the concerns in terms of timing and efficiency in terms of property maintenance, and we're hoping that the new structure will fulfill those needs. So, John, thank you very much for all of your work, and we look forward to continue working with you.
I look forward to being
And, of
here.
course, Chris, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, guys.
He does all the work. Honest to God.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay,
Thank you for your consideration. Have a great evening.
You too, thank you.
God bless all.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Britt, can you get Karen? Thanks.
Sorry? Never mind. Never mind, I'll ask you later.
Okay.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Thanks for being here tonight.
Absolutely, thanks for having
So,
me.
We have a few questions to you that our solicitor will ask, and then we'll open it up for council questions.
Okay.
Karen, how are you? It's been a while since we saw each other.
Yeah.
Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
No, I do not.
And I know that Stephanie and I know because we've been working so closely with you, but if you could, I think it would help council to know, because there is a change in borough engineer with respect to us no longer having an in-house engineer. I think it would help them to know the amount of involvement you've already had in the borough. So if you could just give us a rundown of what you've worked on and how things are going, please.
Yeah, sure. We've worked on both land development projects and some general capital improvement projects. Some of the land development projects that we've been leading have been SOAR West Land Development. We've worked a little bit on Millennium 4, the 100-102 Forest Street project, 51 Washington Street, Provco Wawa project, 538 Spring Mill Avenue, and a project we're currently reviewing is 120 West 11th Street. As far as the capital improvement projects, we did work with Paul to help on the road program this year. We also did a retaining wall crack evaluation over at the A field. That was a very specific project. We were asked at 3:30 one afternoon to have someone available, and the next day we did have them out there at 7:30 in the morning. We were able to provide a report that afternoon to meet the contractor's deadline so that the borough was not charged with any fees for stoppage of work. So that was the one project that I'm very proud we were able to help out with. We also did survey out at the A field for the track installation, and we completed a complete survey of the Marywood Park, both topographic and existing features. So I think that's the major projects that we've worked with in the borough since we were appointed the consulting engineers in October of 2016.
And I have nothing more for Karen, but please, if council has any questions.
I have one question. Can you elaborate a little bit on exactly how your relationship will be structured with the borough? Will you serve as point person, and what type of team do you bring with you and
Sure.
resources?
Yeah, so what I would like to do, I would like to serve as the point person for the borough. That way, the staff or anybody who wants to reach out to Gilmore does not have to figure out for themselves who they need to contact. So they can contact me, and then should I decide that, the question or the project is not within my expertise, we have 175 employees. We have landscape architects, we have surveyors, we have geotechnical, we have structural people. So they're all able to help the borough with any projects that you might need that might be outside of my municipal expertise. And I believe that it's also helpful, vacations or sick time. There's always somebody to contact at Gilmore to help.
I'll use it just as an example for this morning. So right now, we're dealing with the inspections down at the Grand regarding the balconies. Karen came to Borough Hall today along with Mike to meet and regroup on exactly where we are with the issue and how we're going to handle it. She brought with her 2 distinguished structural engineers that will actually be serving as the resource on site while the program and the inspections are going on. So the breadth of resources that Gilmore brings along with it, along with Karen and the resource that she's been to date, are extremely valuable, in my opinion.
Thanks.
So how many hours, I guess it'll go by project? How many hours she'll be,
Yeah,
Do you know
so
how-
land development projects is as needed basis, but that gets billed back to the developers. And any capital improvement projects, it's, again, just an as needed basis. We did provide a proposal for the infrastructure plan that is proposed for over the next year. So we can either do a proposal basis or just an as needed basis for any project that would come up.
So the invoices and the billing will also be broken out. There'll be a general engineering invoice that'll come in for any civil engineering requirements, specifically as it relates to public services, or any other need of the borough. And then they'll be broken out by the land development. They go directly to the escrows, so they're charged to the developer. And then the capital projects will be a separate entity that are already approved by you.
Yes.
Any other questions for Karen?
Now,
No, but I would like you to thank you for stepping in for us as needed this year.
Sure, absolutely.
When it was truly appreciated.
Thank
so
you.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be of service.
Okay,
All right.
thank you, Karen.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What is, balconies are bad. Is that? Balconies are. Truly. Yes. Wow.
Um,
You know that?
Maybe just.
Sorry, guys. Are bad at the grant? No. That we had to get into.
Don't.
So Steph, how serious are the balconies, the situation? Or we can talk about that later.
We'll talk about that later.
Okay.
Okay. Hi, Chuck.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
So just a quick introduction. I'm not sure if the individuals in this room know exactly who you are. This is Chuck Christensen. He is from Next Wave. He is our IT manager that we work with in a consultant basis. He's had a service contract in 2017, and we have a renewal for 2018. Correct me if I'm wrong, in 2015 and 16, you worked on an as-needed basis.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So our solicitor, Mike Peters, will ask you some specific questions, and then we'll open it up for counsel.
Hi, Chuck, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good.
Good.
Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
Not that I'm aware of, no. Sir.
Wonderful. And I know Stephanie and we were talking earlier about some goals that you were given to try to streamline and consolidate the IT network here, and I'd like to hear a little bit about what your plans are for next year.
Well, as far as the IT stability at the moment, it's very good. I don't see any major investments needed in servers or PCs or any other peripheral equipment. So that's all very stable for next year. We have been asked about the police department, in which case we did investigate that just last week. We did a tour with Bob Trelanza. We understand that we need to work on a CJIS compliance for that, for us, which does not appear to be a very big issue. We look forward to serving the PD as well. My goal in the 20 years I've had this Next Wave Consulting is to always provide phenomenal client service. So I look forward to the opportunity to offer that to the police department as well. So I see a fairly stable environment going forward as far as budgetary needs go. And that should take care of us.
Hey, Chuck, very good. With that, I have no further questions for Chuck. If counsel or Stephanie, if you have any questions for him, please feel free.
I have a question. Oh, I was just.
Do we have two separate servers? One that's for the police department and
So just some background, and Chuck, you can correct me if I am wrong.
Okay.
When we moved into this building, yes, to answer your question, there are. For legal reasons, some information in the police department has to stay separate. But the overall operation is where I have an issue. Up to this point, it's been permitted to be separate, and the police have actually had an individual, Bob Trelanza, that is operated as their main point of contact. So we're taking concerted steps, starting with a meeting between Angela, myself, Chuck, and his associate Phil, to express that moving forward, that consolidation needs to happen to the degree that it can, without encroaching on what the police need to do that is in fact separate. But if there's an issue in the police department that affects the administration, we're looking for one IT manager to reach out to, as opposed to two separate individuals that are not operating in concert with each other.
Absolutely.
Is that a
That's
okay summary?
very fair assessment.
Okay.
Assessment, yes, absolutely.
So who has access to that server from the admin side?
We do not.
No.
And there is a need for us to not, but not for everything,
Not even you?
not even me,
No, not from.
specifically not me.
Yeah.
That's why we hire people
Yes.
Jane?
with business associates agreements and all that stuff, so that we don't have to.
You start getting into where you could have legal implications if, for example, I could access material that's confidential in nature or specific to a case that we could then be subpoena on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it all be, it's strictly police matters.
Correct.
As that's excluded, okay.
Right, and needs to be excluded, and the individuals that can even have access to that need to get certified to
Right.
even access it. So, for example, Chuck can oversee how the network operates with that server included, but he, at that point, might not have an administrative access, but if something were to happen, would be able to get into the system, which is what we can't do now and what we're looking for in 2018.
Absolutely.
The other goal that I'd like to put on the table is audit controls. The idea of passwords, password protection, how often we're updating, removing users, adding users, looking at who has remote access. I mean, there's a lot of audit controls that I think that aren't required of a municipal organization, but is good practice.
And we're not employing those now?
We do not have audit controls in place right now, from the best of my knowledge.
And that goes back to my question about security. How satisfied are you with the system we have now with cybersecurity for our network?
I'm very, there's nothing that keeps me up more at night than malware and viruses and hacks and attacks. So my primary focus is to make sure that the network is secure and that the borough, thankfully, has, while it's being attacked all the time, nothing has gotten through. So we're very, very pleased with that. But we're always vigilant.
Do you service any other municipalities in the area?
No, currently Conshohocken is the only one.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks.
So I will send a thank you for, we threw a lot of right-to-knows at you this year. And we appreciate your diligence in working directly with our attorneys to get them the information that they needed to satisfy what we needed to get done.
That's
So
my
I know that was,
pleasure.
I know that was consuming, and we appreciate the help.
It was, and it helps us to build, you mentioned audit controls and things, it helps us to build infrastructure that allows for a faster response next time as well. So,
I just have one final question. If you look at the way technology changes, we look good for this upcoming year. If you could look out 2 to 3 years, if we do some strategic planning, what do you think that we would be looking at as a hot button in 2 to 3 years for the borough?
more and more the cloud is going to play a major part. It is now. Right now, I would describe the borough itself as a hybrid. We have local file sharing here with a server upstairs, as well as Office 365, which is all email in the cloud. Office 365 offers a plethora of other potential services that may be of interest to the borough as well. But once again, all of it goes to security and being able to keep that environment secure. So no
So
data.
today, is everything we have backed up to the cloud, or do we have replication or duplication of anything that?
Currently, for files that are here on location, we have local backups to the local servers. So we can go back 20 days locally on the local hard drive within the server. Then we have an external hard drive that takes a complete backup of all the hard drives. And then that external hard drive feeds up to the cloud, which we just moved to a new cloud. For, the company's called Enable, and it is all cloud and secured backup.
And it's all automated, there's no manual?
It's all automated,
Okay,
yes.
perfect.
If anything does happen, we get emails. Even if there's a virus or something like that tries to come in, we get an email to that effect too.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a great holiday.
Thank you. Thank you, you too.
Look at all of them standing out there
I
like
know.
soldiers. Next.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, David
Hello.
Nassiter.
I have to say, it's like a regular occurrence to see you. I was a little shocked I was coming again. I'm like, why not, right? So, what do you need from me? I don't know how you want to do this, but
So as I explained on the phone, this is a procedure we're going through that we'll just ensure that come 2018, we have officially appointed any consultants publicly and on the record. So we have one question for you from the perspective of the group, and then if council has any specific questions, they can ask it as well.
Hey,
terrific.
Dave, how are you?
Michael, I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good, good.
One quick general question that we're asking everyone. Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
After much deliberation, I'm happy to say no.
Good.
Nothing to worry about there. Nothing at all. So, nope, not at all. In fact, I have worked with the borough, as you may recall, on and off for many, many years. So.
I know that. With that, by nature of my conflict, I have no questions for Dave because I'm not allowed to even know what he's doing. So, if you guys have anything for him, please feel free.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
Dave, the Wawa's being appealed, right?
Yep.
Do you need to leave the room?
He has to leave that.
We can't?
No.
I can leave. I can leave if you'd like
Oh,
me to.
no,
That's not really the
it's done,
purpose.
it's done, okay. That's all I want to make sure.
I can.
I can know that because it's public. So
That's all right. I'm done.
It's public. There are 3 appeals filed. I believe I'll be coming in January 3rd to give you more details on all of those. I can give you a super quick thumbnail if you want. I would ask Mike to leave if that would occur. Otherwise, we can wait. A memo is going to be circulated to you the next couple of days that will give you more information. It's your decision, however you want to discuss that.
you guys are waiting with bated breath. I have no problem to leave.
We'll have them in for that.
Was it in the
Everything,
email you
yeah,
sent us,
so
Stephanie?
there's a schedule that's set up, there's a memo that's being drafted, and then he'll be in at 6 o'clock on January 3rd to update you on all next steps.
Okay,
Yay,
that's fine.
another early meeting.
Yes, sorry.
Assuming this goes well tonight, I will be there on January 3rd. If not, someone else will be there. Maybe Mike will be there, who knows, right?
Who knows, Steve?
Okay.
I didn't know if you want anything, so for the heck of it, I dusted off from our marketing department some glossy packages all about Obermeyer, in case you guys wanted to read them. I didn't know. And I was like, oh, well, I'll bring them anyway. So everyone's welcome to those for whatever fun.
So Dave has also resubmitted his rate sheet.
Everything.
So that
They went
was
down?
available for you to review.
They're right where they
And
are. They
again,
didn't
will
go
be
up.
officially appointed and on the record.
Okay.
Great. Anything I can answer? I mean, it's, in many ways, we've all worked together for many years, but if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer anything at all at this time.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good, thanks, Dave. Thanks,
you,
and I know
everybody.
you have another meeting tonight, so thank you.
Thanks for coming in.
Happy holidays.
You too.
Merry
Thank you
Christmas.
so much.
No holiday, Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah.
We'll put Bob, I mean, what's your name?
Hi, Pat. Hi, Brad. So just quick introductions, if council is not aware of who these individuals are. Pat Harvey and Brad Bitek are our labor attorneys. They have diligently worked for us this past year. I think that Brad, maybe we've talked once a week, unfortunately. But I can't say enough for the work that and the results that they've provided to the borough, especially this past year. And The way this will work is our solicitor will ask a few questions, and then we'll open it up for counsel.
Hi, gentlemen, how are you?
Good evening. How are you?
The first question, do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
No.
I didn't think so. With that, obviously, you can't give us too much information with respect to the work that you've been doing. A lot of it is confidential and really shouldn't be shared with everyone. But if you could just give everybody an idea of what you do for us, what you've done over the last year in just general terms, and then they can ask any questions they may have.
Sure, and I'll start off, but Brad's been taking the lead, and Stephanie talks about doing a great job. He's the guy doing the great job. So we're labor attorneys, so we advise the borough on labor issues like soup to nuts. So, for example, daily advice on how to handle a difficult FMLA situation, or if you have a worker who has a long-term workers' comp injury, advice on how we're going to bridge that person over to retirement, or how long we keep that person on the rolls, and how we deal with that in the fairest way possible. Advice when it comes up on police negotiations and contract negotiations to get the fairest deal for everyone. And then disciplinary investigations when we run into trouble with employees, on how we appropriately investigate and how we have the appropriate discipline. And right now, I don't know how much detail anyone wants to go in. Right now, there's an active police department investigation that I'm helping the chief with, just on an advisory basis, and they're doing a pretty good job over there, a very good job, I'd say. And then Brad, I would turn it over to Brad for some of the recent.
Sure, as Pat mentioned, he's kind of advising on a police investigation, and there's another active investigation involving another borough employee that I'm handling, and it's wrapping up. So in addition, like Pat mentioned, we have the daily type questions. We'll talk with Stephanie or Angela in Human Relations regarding how to handle certain issues that come up on a daily basis, and then there's some of the larger, more long-term type investigations that we handle for the borough.
And I'd like to say, Stephanie said something kind about us. I'd like to say something kind about her, but it's the truth. Stephanie knows when to call, and I don't think you're seeing big bills from us, and there's one reason for that. I mean, sometimes you will if there's a severe problem, but Stephanie knows when to call to sort of nip problems in the bud, and we're able to work together and handle things before they become a real problem. And I think Brad's been very successful with that, working with Stephanie, and we always try to do that. We always try to jump on problems early and make sure they don't grow and become sort of cancerous or really bad. And I think we've had a good working relationship that way.
It helps when a client calls up Labor Council and says, we have this situation, what should we do, as opposed to calling up and saying, I did this, is that okay?
We fired this person, how do we avoid being sued now that it's done?
And Stephanie's definitely doing the right thing.
We don't get those calls. We get the call like, how do we avoid this problem, how do we work it out? I think it's a good working relationship.
That's great. Any questions?
No.
I have one.
If you got, sure. Sure.
So we're trying to be proactive as we move forward, and one of the questions I have is, do you see any vulnerabilities that the borough has that we should be looking at for the future, or what's coming in labor law for the future that we would be either from a union perspective or what's going on in the industry?
Sure. I could answer that question for like an hour or something.
Yeah, right. I know.
So one thing we do, and Stephanie attends this, we do a yearly training conference, and there's about 500 municipal managers and elected officials that go to it. It's called the PELRAS conference, and we try to train everybody on what's coming up and what's new. I mean, with contract negotiations and the healthcare crisis, always to keep on top of that and trying to keep things as sustainable as possible. We all read the newspaper about the reawakening in this country about sex harassment and all those problems, and really nipping any kind of potential problems like that in the bud and dealing with those with appropriate investigations. And I think it's time for some retraining on those policies. If in the short term, that's how I would answer that question. I think we would talk to Stephanie about that, about maybe over the next year, doing some retraining for our employees, and just, you guys have a pretty good policy, and you're pretty good on, when those things come up, of acting on it appropriately, but I think with the national focus and local focus and everything on that would be one of the areas I would be a little more proactive on, I think.
Is our relationship solely we reach out to you and then we talk about things, or do you do any proactive, hey, Stephanie, this is coming up in the future, newsletters or anything like that from the?
A little bit of both. I mean, it's more from you guys, but of course, if there's a big development in the law or something's changing, we would contact all our clients and obviously contact you guys and say, hey, this just came up with a change in the pension laws where we think next time around with the police contract we want to do X, or things like that.
Okay.
And we send out e-alerts, and I think we're pretty good on the new developments in the law of keeping the communication flowing.
Okay, great.
And I think another thing, just to add on to what Pat was saying, that we also do is, for instance, when we handle an investigation for a client, we'll obviously come to a conclusion, but in addition, there may be things that we observe, whether it's, by reviewing a handbook or a policy that we think is outdated. We will, put that in our recommendations moving forward from the investigation that, the client may want to look at and reconsider adjusting moving forward. So that's another thing that we do.
So I will say probably one of the most beneficial parts of Brad's recent investigative report that he sent was probably a page of just his evaluation of our current operation and specific recommendations that we will implement in 2018. So it's an investigative, but it's also an opportunity for us to actually get the input and say, okay, no, these are the things we need to do.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
literally A, B, and C. Great.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Happy holidays.
Thank
Happy
you.
holidays. I can't ask the next guy anything. I don't know anything about traffic. I'm sorry. I can't ask the next guy anything. I don't know anything about traffic.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Good evening, everyone.
How you doing?
Great. How are you?
Good.
You're all doing well?
So just a quick summary. This will be a very brief, just services that you provide to the borough. We have a few questions to ask you, and then if council has any follow-up questions. Okay, so we'll start with the solicitor asking you a
Let me
specific
ask you just a
question.
couple quick questions,
Sure.
Brian, then you can get going. Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working with the Borough of Conshohocken?
I do not.
Good. And aside from that, we are running a little behind, but we're not going to give you short shrift. So just give us a brief overview of what you've been up to over the last year for the borough, and then if they have any questions, we'll have them asked.
Understanding that we'll be bringing you back in very shortly to give a more thorough overview.
Okay.
Okay.
Fair enough. So, we've been fortunate to serve the borough in the role of the traffic engineer. So in that role, we've worked on several projects. We've looked at some pedestrian safety issues on Fayette Street. We are about a little bit more than halfway through the design of the Fayette Street Traffic Signal Improvement Project. We were successful in 2016 of assisting the borough in getting an additional $800,000 allocated to that project through DVRPC and PennDOT. So that project's well on its way. And in addition, we've assisted borough staff with land development review as it relates to traffic impacts and assisting with identifying mitigation of those impacts.
That was
So-
a great synopsis.
That's great.
Yes.
And you are available for the borough, considering that we just made a change with removing our in-house engineer to an outside engineer consultant, and understanding that we might be drawing upon you in a greater capacity for traffic-specific questions and issues.
Yes, we're certainly available with that, and certainly have a good working experience in the past with the other engineers that are involved with the borough, so we work well together.
Along with staff, specifically our Director of Public Services.
Mhm.
Okay. Any questions for Brian?
Do you have anything to do with the SEPTA project?
I'm sorry, which project?
Do you have anything to do with the SEPTA project?
No.
No.
I mean, not directly. I'm
Okay.
kind of keeping an eye on it.
Okay.
Like, basically trying to just understand where it's going, but
Okay.
I can find out specific information if you need it, but
Just want to keep it moving.
Okay.
Thank you.
sure.
Happy holidays.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Brian.
Merry Christmas to you all. Appreciate
Thank
the
you.
time.
Yes. Yes. So we are moving into boards and commissions, and we're going to keep going so that we stay on track.
What happens with him being the mayor?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Is that a conflict if he
It
was
is-
doing
it
his
is
board?
not.
He's the mayor?
No,
So
it's not.
we're,
Or not?
it's not a legal conflict, but we are going to ask that question to him specifically right now. The question, Mike's going to ask one question, and then I would recommend, just for time that we pick, 1 or 2 questions per candidate. Okay? All right. And again, these individuals are all up for reappointment. They are not new positions that you will appoint potentially on January 2nd. Okay. Hi, Yaniv. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
The engaged one.
Thanks.
They don't have any.
Hi, Yaniv. We're going to move right into it for time's sake. The way this will work is the solicitor will ask you one question, and then a council member will ask you a question, again, for consideration for reappointment.
Okay.
Okay?
Awesome.
I hope you had a nice weekend with your fiance.
Thank you,
Yeah, congrats.
Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
No.
I didn't think so. Any questions from council?
Yes, so the first one would be, is there any conflict with you being mayor and the role in the EAC?
So we checked into it. There's nothing that bars us legally from doing it. It's a discussion I had with Matt Bridenstine, our chair. He really, really, really wants me to stay on the committee. I think part of that is what Brittany's going to show you. I have 2 communications degrees, and one of the things we talked about last year was really marketing the EAC to the borough residents, making it a known entity, finding ways to integrate it into social media, rebranding it, putting on events, which is exactly what we've done. So I think another year of that would be really, really beneficial to the committee. So that's why I'm standing before you, even after the election.
Okay. Some of my prepared questions were just answered by your statement, as
Okay.
far as why you'd want to be reappointed, issues that you believe need to be addressed, top priorities. I don't know if there's anything more you want to add, but I think your
Sure.
explanation is...
I think Matt Bridenstine did a really nice presentation 2 weeks ago on some of the priorities going forward. Now that I think we're a little more established with residents and out in the community, this zero emissions initiative is really, really interesting. The rain barrel initiative that he talked about was really, really interesting. Continuing, you have a shot of our Facebook page. Continuing social media presence and making sure that we're getting ourselves out there, that residents know there's an EAC available to them, that it's open to the public, they can come to meetings. It's something that, we're trying to recruit more residents into. I would like to focus this year on putting together a website. And you can see this was our first real big initiative. This was a trail cleanup we did. We started at the Conshohocken Brewery and fanned out across the trail going down towards the Grand. So finding more events like that we can do every year and sort of have residents expect it and know about it and look forward to it just enhances the EAC's mission and brings it more into the community. So that's my top priority.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yanni, other than looking forward to working with you, that's all I have.
Thanks, me too.
What other community groups do you belong to?
So up until 2 weeks ago, I was chairman of our local Conshohocken Rotary Club, and I stepped down from that to focus on other duties. Really, I'm sort of in a process of detangling and getting out of so I can focus on this coming year. So not too much. I was on I was helping out with the Marywood Park Commission and helping them at some of their public meetings. So hope to continue with that.
Yes.
But yeah, sort of lighten the load on that end.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
You too.
Merry Christmas.
Happy Hanukkah, which ended last night.
You got one of your votes?
What'd you say? I know, we're behind.
Yes, we are, and I respect that.
I talk too much.
I knew it was going to bring you guys.
Bring the baby with
It's
her.
hard when somebody knows what you're talking about.
I know.
Well, I think it'll be beneficial if he comes back.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yay.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
Well, not fair.
This is Brayden. Hi, Brayden.
Jen, so we'll keep this very brief. You can sit,
Sure.
yes.
That's
Yes,
fine.
yes.
Comfortable.
All right. I know, I'll get those.
What did you say? I've never, one of those. Yeah, well. Uh-oh.
You don't care?
He can actually kind of walk. That's over exaggerated.
It's a tough time of the night.
Should we ask you the questions?
All right, two quick questions.
Are you okay, buddy?
Yeah.
He's
Mike,
okay
do you
now.
have to ask everyone? You'll ask your question
Yes,
first?
yes,
Yeah,
yes.
okay.
Jennifer, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working with the Borough of Conshohocken?
No.
I don't think so. I do everything in Conshohocken. So.
I don't think so either. With that, any other questions? No, for these guys.
Although that's
Oh, you
okay.
guys, questions.
So what would you consider to be your top priority, assuming you're reappointed?
So I think that in the last year, a lot of great things have happened with the Marywood House, and I guess the whole park itself. I'm really excited to see kind of the small things like the centennial that's coming up and the different things we're working on for the centennial, because I think that it is important to celebrate our history, being the history teacher here. But I'm also excited for him, to have a nice playground, and even if that's 5 years away, it's still exciting. And I think that a lot of people in the area will be so excited once that comes to fruition. So,
It's for next year, Jen.
yeah.
I was going to say.
Yeah.
No rush on that. I know.
It's ready.
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
It's hard, it's hard when there's so many different things that need to get done, but I think that the committee's prioritizing, making sure it's doing what it's supposed to be doing. And I don't know, I'm excited to see next year and how it plays out. Yeah.
That's right, yay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Good.
Okay.
We're good.
Thank you for coming out. We appreciate
so
it.
much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Merry Christmas.
Great, can you get Kyle?
You go see the lights.
Get Kyle.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for coming.
Oh,
It's anytime.
We're glad you came in.
I had
Yeah.
I know.
Kyle at the foot doctor with me today.
Yeah.
Made us all happy.
Phone for our meeting.
Is the baby
That was
less
fun.
than 1 year?
He's just a year.
Okay.
He's in the
The only
school
reason is
authority.
because his hair is
Oh,
cut
yes.
short, and a lot of times
Mr.
people wait
Kyle.
1 year to do that. I was just
Hi,
wondering
Kyle,
if
how
that
are you?
was-
Hello, sir.
How are you?
Good evening.
Good. We have a
Mr.
few
Lawyer.
quick questions for you. The solicitor will ask you one question, then we'll open it up for council.
Okay.
Okay?
How are you? Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
No, sir.
Very good. Any other questions?
I will ask one. Is there any particular issue that you believe needs to be addressed?
Sure. Well, I think there's a couple issues that need to be addressed. The big one that we're working on now, of course, is the odor control project. So we've made great progress. We're getting close to the goal line or the finish line. And that's one of the reasons why I also want to continue to serve, because I think we have a good group and we're getting there, and we will get it done in the very near future. So.
Okay, you said there were a few. What would you just?
Well, the
obviously
other
a
one,
topic.
the other one that comes to mind too is the recent, acquisition of the West Conshohocken Sewer Authority. So, that's a big project, and we're working on integrating everything into our system, and that's something that I also want to see through and complete. So,
Do you think you have everything that you need, or the organizations, to make all of those things happen? Is there any concerns that?
no concerns from me. I think we have a great board. We're lucky to have Stephen Clark, who's the head of the manager. He does a great job. And we have a very good engineer and Mr. Ebert, who's helping us out as well. So I think we have the tools and the knowledge, so to speak, to make these things happen. So.
Well, thank you for your enthusiasm on that topic. We actually appreciate it on the east side of Conshohocken.
Yeah.
Yes.
As one of your neighbors, I appreciate it.
Good,
Yes.
good. Well, I know it's much improved, and it's going to be improved for many, many years to come. So,
Well, thank you for your
Great.
service.
yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Kyle, for coming out.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Merry
Good night.
Christmas.
Good night.
Same to you.
Christmas, Kyle.
I have no I never have smelled it.
Well, that's because we're on this side.
No, I know that, unless I was down.
It's a beautiful smell
Sometimes
at the ripest point of the season.
When you pull up right outside of it, you can smell it.
Hi, Mark, how are you? Thank
Hi,
you for coming
Mark.
tonight. We'll start with one question from the solicitor, and then we'll open it up for counsel.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Mark, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from working with the Borough of Conshohocken?
None that I'm aware of.
Wonderful, wonderful. Any other questions for Mr. Gannon?
Is the zoning hearing board exciting?
Well, it's kind of slowed down now that,
It'll
the
pick up.
convenience store thing is off the table, but other than that, we see a lot of garages, so I'm kind of hoping, everyone's working on amending the zoning ordinance to actually allow for square footage that allows for two cars to fit in a garage. We see a lot of them. That's the one thing I would say is just, keep the zoning ordinance up to date with current trends. And I think that's really the only feedback we get during hearings. Other than that, everybody's pretty respectful and enjoys the process, and I think the board, we all get along pretty well and enjoy, interpreting your ordinance.
Thank you.
Any more questions? Thank you, Mark.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep, happy holidays.
Merry Christmas, Mark.
Thanks. Take care.
Thank you, Mark.
Okay, want to take a recess?
Or do you want to keep going?
Or you want to keep going?
Let's keep going.
So we have, Joe Collins did call, and he is sick, so he is unable to attend. The issue with that is that on January 2nd, you have to appoint a vacancy chair. So, but that would go against what the practice you have in place of wanting to interview anyone who's being reappointed. So I need direction from you.
An exception.
You would have to either give me direction that you want there to be an exception and you want to just reappoint Joe, or we'll have to ask Joe to come back on the 2nd and hope that he makes it.
And there's nobody else applying for it.
No one else has applied.
I don't have a problem.
Let's just reappoint him.
So we'll give you are we in agreement? We'll give you the direction.
I think he should come in before we reappoint him. I think that we should not break a process that we're just starting.
So the issue is going to be, if he is told he has to be there on the 2nd and he isn't there on the 2nd, then you are going to have to appoint without, you're going to have to appoint
We'll get somebody out
someone.
of the audience.
I'm just making, you're,
When do we have to appoint that by?
January 2nd.
Second.
I see.
It is part of the reorganization.
And what does do?
The vacancy chair serves in the place of, can you explain that
Yeah,
better?
sure. So the vacancy chair, his primary duty is to, if there is a vacancy in council, he serves to recommend to you someone to take that place. That's his primary job. Any elected position, not just council.
Which is why it's a role that needs to be appointed on the 2nd.
And it's required by,
He doesn't take that place, he recommends?
no, he wouldn't, he would not sit in himself.
He would recommend the individual that would fill the vacancy.
Okay, so there isn't anyone else. And let's say that for some reason he was not here on January 2nd.
Then you could just,
Could we then make an exception?
That would be at your discretion,
Yeah,
but then
same
you will be put on the spot on the 2nd to make that decision.
So why wouldn't Joe be here for the second?
I'm just saying, he was confirmed to be here all up until 5 p.m. today.
But is he interested?
He has expressed his interest, yes.
Okay. Then he'll be here probably.
Okay.
So, if we had enough members, I mean, it has to be in this setting, so.
Correct. It should be in this setting.
Okay.
So we will contact Mr. Collins and let him know that he needs to be in attendance now on January 2nd in order for him to be reappointed.
Yes.
Okay? So the only other two are Liz McNeil and Kristen. Are they both here yet? Kevin Dwyer was unable to attend.
Oh, that's the one I was saying.
Yes.
Steph, can we also reappoint Julie Dixon without her being here? Or Marywood Park?
So there are two individuals who were not unable to make it tonight. Julie Dixon for Marywood Park Commission and Kevin Dwyer for the EAC. Will be rescheduled to come in front of you for an interview. They're not as time sensitive as the vacancy board. So our intent was to schedule a time that they were able to come in early January or at the latest early February, where you can interview them and reappoint them. So you're sticking with your procedure.
Okay.
Who's the backup to the vacancy chair?
No one.
Everybody.
So we would sit without somebody in the seat until someone applied.
Correct.
Well, I've been here for 16 years, and I have never seen it, we never used them.
It's very, very uncommon.
Very rare, very rare.
Okay, just curious.
Hi, Liz.
Hey, Liz.
How you doing? Thank you for coming out tonight. We're going to ask you a few quick questions, one from the solicitor, and then we'll open it up to council. And just to confirm, you are up for reappointment at the Planning Commission because you filled an individual's who had stepped down their term. So this would restart your term at this point.
Correct. It would
Okay?
be the first full term.
Correct.
Hi, Liz, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm used to you being up here with me and not down there. One quick question that we're asking everyone. Do you have any affiliation with any group or individual that would prohibit you from continuing to work directly with the Borough of Conshohocken?
I don't believe that I do.
Okay.
I know that there is a property being considered and that the company that I work for might purchase that building or space in that building. So that's the only affiliation I have with any projects.
And we've
But-
discussed that if that happens, we'll make a determination with respect to whether or not you can
Correct,
participate.
and I do, like, every time that project comes up, I announce that before we start, so.
Can you make council aware of what project you're referring to?
You know what, I don't know the title.
So
Do you know the
it's-
title? It's the one by the river
it's
with
so
the parking
new, yeah.
garage.
I know,
yeah.
but
Oh, these guys?
yeah.
Washington Street, is that?
It is Washington Street.
Yeah, I see where-
Yeah,
Before
so it's
51?
It's that new building that would join the two buildings that currently exist.
It's in Millennium.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
they're still in the very early
Millennium
planning stages and.
We're talking about Millennium 4.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the only thing that just keeps getting continued.
Tossed aside. Right. Yeah.
I'll note, Liz and I have worked closely together for the last year or so, and she's wonderful.
Oh. So, since you stepped into that role, what would you say, assuming you were reappointed, what would you have for a top priority, accomplishments? What would you like to
I think the biggest
achieve?
thing is, like, right now, I feel like there's a little bit of a disconnect between what the comprehensive plan shows and sort of the direction we're going. And that's actually one of my biggest concerns. And I think that as a whole Conshohocken, I know we've talked before about having meetings between the two groups and assuring that we're aligned. And that's something I would really like to actually see happen. I think, as I said, we are making some decisions that don't quite align with, as a group, Conshohocken, I feel like, is making decisions that don't align with the comprehensive plan. I'm so glad that that is being reevaluated and worked on again. And I think once that's published, that would be a really good time to start those meetings and to start us quarterly, biannually, something where we're actually, these are the projects, what are we feeling, how are we, all that kind of stuff. So that's what I would like to see, is more collaboration between our group and yours, and assuring that the plan is what we are looking to build and is what we envision for Conshohocken.
Good, thank you.
How do you feel the group as a whole is handling the plans that are coming before you? And are the plans coming in basically complete by the list?
I don't know what you mean by complete by the list. Like, are we
Well,
getting everything that we need?
Yes. For the most part.
For the most part, they are. And
Okay.
when they do not, I like that our group is just like, no, we're not gonna we're not gonna vote
Good.
on this.
Good.
So I do really appreciate the fact that we have that freedom to say no, and this is not enough, and we need more information. But I do feel for the most part, plans come in complete, or we're able to get them to that complete stage. In terms of the way the group works together, I think the four of us right now actually do work really well together because we all have very different personalities and kind of ideas. I think everyone asks really good questions and very different questions of whoever is presenting. So I appreciate that. I think sometimes there are some people who are more environmental, some who are more structural, so it's kind of a nice balance that we have. I think that we could work on more as a team, being more formal, maybe even meeting, again, when there's not projects, maybe even meeting and just reviewing some requirements, refreshing ourselves on, what is already in Conshohocken, what's scheduled to be built and hasn't, they haven't broken ground yet, kind of reviewing those kinds of things, because I don't have that kind of history, and I would love to really know what's out there that hasn't really started to be built.
Okay. Thank you.
I have one question for you.
Yeah.
There is a current vacancy on the Planning Commission. Having worked on the commission for approximately a year now, is there a specific type of individual that you feel would be beneficial to add to your group?
I don't know if there's like a specific type of person.
Or a specific skill set you'd be looking for?
I think definitely like critical thinker, critical reader, which I think we do have. I think when it comes, at least one of my major weaknesses is like the math and science of it all. So like when it comes to stormwater management, I'm like, okay, is that good enough? So someone who has those skills would be really great, who's able to understand that.
Someone with a planning background.
Yeah, with a planning background, or
helpful.
I mean, even like someone with a structural background who could kind of talk to different things. But I do think that the team that we have, reviewing letters and giving us information is really a good team too. So I feel confident in that as well. I think critical thinking and questions are the biggest.
You critically analyzed Sora last week, so thank you.
Yeah. Anytime.
Any other questions for Liz?
Liz, what other organizations in Conshohocken are you involved in?
I was a part of the EAC for a little bit, and I noticed that they still have their 2 vacancies. I kind of stopped working with them. It was very disorganized and disjointed, and I was getting frustrated. So I stopped. Socially, I'm involved with the Conshohocken Moms. They have a very active Facebook group. I've met with Jane about them before. So I'm really active in that area. I really want to be more active with the Friends of the Library. That's kind of my next thing that I want to jump into.
Jane can probably help you with that too.
Oh, see? I'm just going to follow in Jane's footsteps.
Yes. Follow Jane.
Oh, I don't know about that.
But that's kind of where the other groups that I'm involved in.
Okay.
Okay, that's great. Thank you.
Is that it?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Liz.
Welcome.
Liz.
Anytime.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Oh, I'm sorry I missed the party.
Yeah, we missed you.
Oh, I got the stomach, I got a
Oh my
We've been-
gosh.
but I was right there.
Oh.
And I even talked to everyone the night before. I was like, what was going on?
Yeah, we got your email, and then we were all like, oh God, we were right with her all night.
And they were like, why didn't you go? You weren't that sick. I'm not going to watch everyone eat that delicious roast beef.
Right. Oh.
Eat it, but anyway, I apologize. I wish I could have seen you.
Well, we missed you. And we'll be in touch about the park.
Oh, yeah.
We're getting
Yes.
People are
close.
so excited.
Yes, so good.
I love the
We are
plans.
too.
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be fun.
We
How
do
old
have-
is your baby now?
I'm sorry.
How old is your baby now?
She's 18 months.
18 months,
Yeah.
perfect, okay.
I just finished her Christmas shopping, so.
Now you got to wrap.
Yeah.
I know, I was like, no.
Well, thanks so much.
We didn't get wrapped.
All right,
Thank
thank
you.
Have a
Thank
good
you,
night.
Liz.
Bye, guys.
We have a little bit of time in between until the next interview and the start of the next meeting, and I just have one thing that I want to discuss with you in executive session, if we can do that at this time. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah. Do we need to in the back for that?
Yeah, back.
Back
And then if we could take a break before the meeting.
They're looking for somebody to go.
Okay.
No, well, we found his sister-in-law. I know, we have one more. So we're gonna go in, I have one executive item to discuss. If you can just ask Kristen to hold off, and then we'll be right out.
Who has their key handy?
You're good enough, I know. Stephanie asked me. You're okay, don't worry about that.
Yeah.
I knew that.
No, but I just wanted to make
No,
sure.
I appreciate your asking.
Yeah, yeah.
The question's appropriate, but don't worry about it. Thanks, Bob.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello. Just down here with you guys. How you feel, Mayor? Inside? Well, we got a few more things on the burners that we were going to try and do this year, but, nice to have some. How many years were you? You were mayor 2 different times, right? 8. Marvin got in for 2 and then he died. But Joe had 2. I think we raised the bar on the position. We got too hard after Dan. We got a lot of popular events. So, whether they keep them or they don't, they don't call. They're not part of the job. Right. All right, Ray's here. So, we just want to make sure he gets a seat tonight. Good luck. We'll be around. We're not leaving town. Couple of things coming already. Yeah. I gotta get my minister's license, okay, universal church thing, but this thing is really ready. How many people would you marry? Really?
Hello, Jerry, how are you? If you want, this is just his note. How are you? Still.
How's everything?
It's going.
Boy heading up to work for the holidays?
Yeah.
I saw you just passed the last. Yeah, I was gonna say you're on Pennsylvania. In other words, whatever you couldn't do in Pennsylvania, you had to go to Jersey to do it. Now you can do it.
Because I know that a lot of people
They couldn't buy in Jersey. Okay. Maybe, but anyway, that's a nice news. Pennsylvania, they might be allowed to something. I don't know if it'd be bigger fireworks as well, but people want them. He was telling me last year, he said he couldn't keep up with the crowd. He said, who's got the places? Rutherford, what the, fireworks.
New Year's Eve.
Robert, how are you?
Okay, thanks.
Good for him. Took a chance. Ran around for 4 days, running up and down, unloading trucks.
So we're gonna invite Jack to lunch. He's going to study his picture.
How are we making out? Close? All right, I guess.
Now the numbing medicine's going away. It hurts a little bit again.
Oh my God, I'll be there. Did you see the pictures in the different? Oh my God, it was so sad. It was so sad. They're adorable. Oh, I guess I'm reading tonight. I love Louis just jumped at me. That's so sad.
Brittany was making sure we were not.
Last interview for the night, before we
Hi.
move into the actual meeting. We have Kristen Hughes-Heel. Thank you for coming.